I'm really excited today. I finally get to do my drywall, my finished ceiling up there. I've been really looking forward to this. Everything's in place. Let's get started. My name's Deric. This is my wife Jenya. We bought a fixer-upper. We're remodeling this house one day at a time, all while living in it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to get all the latest videos to track our progress. You'll find lots of how-to videos with step-by-step instructions to help you with your next do-it-yourself project. Welcome to the Rundown Reborn channel. So I'm going to try to do this ceiling up here by myself. Now, hanging sheets of drywall over your head all by yourself is tough. So what I'm going to do is build myself an assistant here. I've got a couple of 2x4s. They're 10 feet long, which is about where my ceiling is. And then I've got a couple of scraps here. I've got one here, a 2x6 piece, a 2x4 piece here. What I'm going to do is take this and screw it to the top of these long boards here, and I'm going to create a shelf, and then I'll just use this to hold the legs in place at the bottom. Then I can use this and set it against the wall just below the ceiling and have that as a ledge to set my drywall on while I screw it off. There. Now I've got my lovely assistant here in place. Help me hold the drywall. I've got my drywall here. It's 1/2-inch drywall, gypsum wallboard, and it's a 4-foot by 8-foot sheets. I've got 10 sheets here. I should only need about 7 of them for this project. Alright, there's a few tools you need for drywall. You're going to need a really sharp knife. I've got my utility knife here with a brand new blade in it. And you'll need to change your blades often. The other thing you need, of course, is a tape measure, pencil. Here I've got a carpenter's pencil to mark, and one key tool you'll need is a T-square, a drywall T-square. I'm going to first cut my long cut, and I need 30 inches. So the sheet's 48 inches wide, so I need to cut off 18 inches. So I'm going to put a couple marks on here at 18 inches. One at the end. I like to circle them so I can find them easily. One here in the middle. Now I've got my marks here. I'm going to take my T-square, hook it onto the end, and connect the dots as straight as possible. Draw that line from both directions. Alright, I've got my long line marked. Now the length of my piece needs to be 79 inches. A sheet of drywall is 8 feet long, or 96 inches. So 96 minus 79 is 17 inches. So I'm going to mark off 17 inches on my part that I'm keeping. Get my T-square here. There. I'm going to cut the long piece off first because a big long 8-foot piece is probably more reusable than an L shape or 2 smaller pieces. Now to cut, I'm going to use my T-square again. I'm going to set that right here on the line. I find that you need about 3 passes to make it through far enough to snap it. So the first cut, I'm not going to press real hard, I'm just going to score it. I want that right on the line. So I want it to be nice and slow. and just drag that knife right down the edge, right on my line, carefully. When doing this second score, I want to actually press harder and follow right down that line. I just want to drag that through, try to get some cut through it. And I'm going to do it a second time. Second time, you're going to feel a lot less resistance. Keep going all the way down the board for the length of the cut. All right, I've been through the board 3 times. It's not cut all the way through, but there's an easy way to get it the rest of the way. The next thing I want to do now is stand the board up on its end. I'm going to carefully lift the board and tilt it up onto its end. Now, that cut is about right here. I'm going to gently just pop the board and fold that piece back. See? Now it stands up all by itself. And now I can cut the paper on the back side. All right, I'm through to the middle point. Let's start up from the bottom now. Now before I cut the last little bit, I want to make sure I catch the 2 pieces. There. Now one of those is scrap. The smaller piece here, I'll use that as salvage later. You want the big piece? We need to cut it to length now. I'm going to use the same method, a score and 2 cuts. Nice clean score. Nice slow and steady clean cut. And a second pass just to get a little more depth. These knives, they're razor sharp. I actually knew a guy, put his hand across here, sliced right across the top of his hand. Don't do that. Blood everywhere. Tilt it up, fold it, and cut the paper on the back. And that one's released. A nice scrap for later. All right, I've got my cut piece here, and this is my cut edge. I've got one of these. It's a rasp, drywall rasp. Looks like a cheese grater. They're real handy. They're not real expensive. And you just drag that a couple times right across that cut edge and remove all the kind of little unevenness. Sometimes you'll get a little bump like this. I want to rasp that right off. Smooth that right out. All right, I've got my sheet here. I've got my cut edges on this end and this end, and I've got a factory cut edge here and a paper wrapped edge over here, which is original factory edge. I want to put my factory edge to the outside. And what's really nice is if you can get your factory edge on the seam, you get a nice tight joint between the sheets. This paper edge is going to go to the front, and this factory cut edge will be at the seam. These cut edges will be back against the wall where it doesn't matter. We need to get this up into position. All right, I've got my setup over there. What I'm using are 1¼ drywall screws. They're black Phillips head. On my drill, I've got one of these dimplers. And what this does is it sets the screw to a desired depth. This collar that sits around the screw head prevents you from over driving it into the drywall, which is good. You don't want it to go through the drywall, then it's not holding it. You want this screw head to be flush right with the surface or just slightly below. Then when you mud over it, it'll be nice and smooth. If it's above the surface, you'll get a bump on the top of the drywall. You don't want it. If you overdrive it, the screw's not holding the drywall against the wall. What I need to do now is go ahead. I've got my lovely assistant over here behind me, and not as lovely as my wife, but she'll do the job. Then I've got my drywall here. I'm going to lift that up, set that on that ledge, and start screwing it up. It's going to go up like this. I'm going to walk this up the ladder carefully without falling. Set that right on top of my ledge there. Looking good. I'm going to hold that, get 2 or 3 screws in across the front. Still supporting it, I don't want it to tear out. 2, 3. All right, that should hold up the front edge of the board. It wouldn't hold the sheet up if I pulled this back, but it's gonna hold it for now. Now I put a few more screws in. You want to screw these with a ceiling probably about 6-8 inches apart. You just want to have enough up there to hold it. This is a smaller sheet, 30 inches wide. It's not going to fall down. You just want to have enough up there. You want to keep them right into the seams. And just drive them. Just drive them so they're just below the surface of that drywall. At this point, my support here is not doing anything, it's up. So I'm going to take this out of the way and finish screwing it all up. Alright, I've got myself 2 pieces up there now, and I want to show you a little bit about what I'm doing up there. Alright, so what we've got is we've got our furring strip here that was originally in place. I put my second furring up here, and then we have the drywall. So that finished ceiling is going to come across and come in right to the front of this piece right here. And then this piece of wood will serve as a nailing flange for the trim piece later. So I'll have a trim piece here and a trim piece here to create the transition to the different ceilings. All right, my ceiling drywall is up. Got it all the way around the perimeter of the room, and really happy with it. When you build that support jig, it really makes it easier, and you can get it all done by yourself. It's a little tiring holding those up on your own, but it's doable. The ceiling drywall is up, and I'm going to go ahead and prepare to do the acoustic ceiling to infill the center area. This is really going to come together nicely. Be sure to check out my next video where I put up an acoustical ceiling tile to finish out this awesome architectural ceiling. As always, be sure to subscribe and help my channel grow, and thanks for watching.